Hey there! Hey y'all! Hey y'all! Hey y'all! I'm just kidding. It's a sweet treat. Your favorite meat, the bacon, is right here. Hoping all I pulled a Sandra and I'm muted. That is right. Finally a voice. Do y'all see my arm? It's starting to disappear. Sandra's got me up against a brick wall. So it's reminds me of those days when I was in prison. Wait a minute, what? No. Speaking of prison, how about our folks and friends up there in DC? We're seeing some of the games that are still being played. Um, Today, we actually will not have Miss Helena on. Actually, everyone just dropped off. We don't know where Sandra went. Nobody. They all just disappeared. It can't. I don't know what to do with my hands. Anyway, no, folks, as you guys have probably seen, we're doing Federal Defense Friday uh, for the Jan Sixers. However, today I'm going to switch it up just a little bit. Talk about my favorite subject. See, look, my arm is missing. Oops, now it's back. See, it's missing. Now it's back. Missing in action. We have no clue where she went. Just kidding. She's actually taking care of some things for a potential candidate that she might be hosting. So there's some good stuff going on there. Walt, the Great Texas Bacon Master. I'm looking at my title. I didn't write all this stuff down. Anyway, no, actually, things have been doing pretty well this week. I didn't get to catch up on the news last night, but as you guys have heard, what is his name? Hmm, Joe Biden. Joe Biden decided um, he didn't want Greg Abbott to have people climbing on his balls like Joe does. So they are going to make sure that Texas cannot secure its border, no matter how the means or how the work goes. And if you guys saw Mayorkas in front of the Congress, in front of the senators this past week, you know, you cannot help but think. Well, actually, you'd be an idiot to think that this is not done on purpose. These people aren't stupid. They are, at this point, Mayorkas, the fact that no one in Congress has pulled through with his impeachment process, the fact that it's gained no traction, and the fact that every time he goes in front, any federal official goes in front of Congress, what happens? Absolutely no data is given. It's just a big show. Our side talks to their side praises the other stuff. It's ridiculous. There's absolutely no answers from either side. Just staged fake outrage. It's like a Ben Shapiro skit on steroids. Whenever you get up there with the Congress members, you got your angry ones, and then you got your ones that want to defend everybody. And at this point, you know you can't explain it. It's literally Mayorkas. His testimony earlier this week was just horrific, especially as the Secretary of DHS. And for anyone to say that he's up against the wall, they're a complete moron because he looked like an absolute idiot whenever he was trying to answer and just the lies he comes up with. And then, oh, well, I don't have data, but I'll get that to you. They've been saying, I don't have that answer, but I'll get that to you for the past 10 years. And Congress does what? And I'm talking both sides of Congress. They don't follow up with it. Not one single bit do they follow up with it. So, let's see here. Miss Pat, is Joe going to blow up the balls? Well, that would be fun if he could try. They can take bullets, so it's not going to be a big deal. They can shoot those balls all day long. The balls are actually used around ships. They are to protect our Navy ships in foreign ports. Oh my gosh, it's Angela Smith. Actually, Miss Angela, we were just talking about your event in Kerrville. I've been talking with Ray Myers about the Middletons up there, and I'm excited to see them. We may actually have to come your direction August 19th at 3 p.m. And you know what? I have the advertisement for it. So Angela, we will advertise for that. I do know that we have some stuff happening on the forefront with the fentanyl crisis. So we'll be doing having some events there. I just came up out of the canyons. So, but Angela Smith, Fredericksburg Tea Party, she just jumped into the chat. Wait a minute, there it is. To the chat, if or is it down there? It's down there. She just jumped into the chat. So we're doing some good stuff. She gets to have. She has the ability to say, "Oh, I've got Chip Roy as my congressman." One of the only people in Texas you can actually lean on. So that's kind of a neat thing for those folks over there. And the Fredericksburg Tea Party, Miss Pat, actually they've got you beat by a year. So it's Fredericksburg Tea Party is the first that we know of in Texas, and then the next one was the Montgomery County Tea Party, both of which we're huge fans. So we're huge, and we got big hands. That's right. Anyway, um, uh, and you know what? I got to get we got to get the Middletons on here. They have a very compelling story. Um, Obviously, Jan 6, and here's the fun part. So out here on the border, we've had a lot of Jan 6 activity where the federal government has come in and arrested people for being up there. You know, and we know what's going on. The sweep is going on by they call it the Gulag, but the sweep is going on all around the nation. It's kind of reminiscent of the Nazi years when the brown shirts were coming after people, and the Gestapo. That's what the FBI. I label the FBI as the Gestapo. There are so many. The sad part is there are so many crimes that are going unreported right now, and the reason why they're going unreported is because, well, unanswered, is because the feds are focusing on stupidity. That's all there is to it. They didn't go after anybody that burned down the cities, or if they did, they went after one or two. They haven't done anything to solve for human trafficking, and look at what's happening there. Mayorkas was deposed because Christopher Wray apparently was talking trash about, oh, we don't have a secure border. Mayorkas is telling people, oh, the border's secure. You know, if it's a federal government employee or official, then 9 times out of 10, they're lying to you. I'm from the government and I'm here to help. Not not happening. We need to have a tea party. Actually, Miss Pat, that is correct. If we actually got all of the tea parties, Joanne Fleming's group up there as well, and all these other folks, and had a big, we could actually probably have a better convention than what the RPT puts on. Think about that. Problem is, the tea party's not on the ballot, but oh well, it's one of those things. So one of those things. Anyway, now out here on the border, we've had kind of a fun time. We're watching the CBP One app. Folks are getting in. Guess what? Everyone's buying the lie. The numbers are down. This is down. They are now importing from other countries. If you get on the CBP One app, I know uh, Miami's International Airport, specifically Miami's International Airport, was taking flights directly from Mexico, paid for by your tax dollars. That Mayorkas is flying the illegals into Florida now. But if you'll notice, what have we been saying? All across the country, people are like, we can't handle these folks. If you couldn't handle these folks, why did you declare yourself a sanctuary city decades ago? You asked for it, you're getting it. If you're mad that Governor Abbott's giving it to you, well, anyway, how about a Tea Party ball rally of sorts? Well, we could have a Tea Party ball. I'm all for balls. We could even do it on the river. Those are the biggest balls we've got in Texas right now. They're well, I say that they're only 5 feet round, to be honest with you, but they float, so we can actually put them in a moat and get in a boat. That's it. We should have a yacht party on the Rio Grande outside of Del Rio and Eagle Pass. That would be perfect. But you can't get between the two. There's too many spots where the river's only 6 inches, 6 inches deep through several areas through there. So anyway, man, oh man, all 1,000 exactly. Angela's like, there's 1,000 feet. Yep, there's 1,000 feet. And the cool part is they've moved. They get to move that 1,000 feet up and down, and it's really making the smugglers mad. It's making the Mexicans mad. And you know what? People don't talk about this, but when you cross the river from Texas and go into Mexico, Guess what they have? They have a big wall right there, and you have to go through a specific entrance. And they're very clear. If you try to break into their country, they will come after you. And I'm like, wow, they will arrest you. They'll put you in jail. You'll go through the process. And I'm trying to figure out when are we going to do the same? Because Mexico is giving us every illegal person that can come into America through their border is coming through their border. They're landing in our airports. They're, CBP and customs and all that. These poor individuals, they're just in a bad spot. That being said, oh, I can't see my Rudies, can you? Boy, this is crazy stuff with this backdrop she's got that she put on my thing here. We will actually have to change that. Change that indeed. Those are the banners, and there we go. Of course, you guys do know me. We're gonna have to put this as the well. There's the cover photo. Well, no, there we go. That's what we need. I don't know how to get rid of this deadgum backdrop. She's got awful. But anyway, no, add a background music. I'm loving this thing. There we are, all red, and of course the brand. Oh, here comes Simon. Uh, Here comes Simon. There we go. Hang on a second here. Bam!
Hey, Big Master.
Hola, how are you
How's
doing
it
today?
going, buddy? I'm doing all right, doing all right. Came out here to be a part of the control group as a person that doesn't know anything. So
Ah,
educate me,
what?
Walter. I can give you the regular small town person opinion.
Well, and hey, what do they say about small towns these days?
Um, Good
The
question.
Jason Aldean
Try
controversy. Yeah,
Yes, try that in a small town.
try that in a small town. Exactly. You know what? I grew up in a small town in the middle of a big city, and all I can
Mhm.
tell you is, as people were coming through the big city, the small town from the big city, the small town always
Mhm.
won. When I say that, our cops were like number two in the state for several years throughout the '80s on collecting
Oh
revenue
wow.
off Bel Air Boulevard as you leave the city of Bel Air, go through South Side and go into Houston. They were a lot of people were like, oh,
Mhm.
that's a crooked situation. Well, yeah, it may have been a crooked situation, but it's they're still there, so it was fun. What is
Yeah.
happening out in downtown South Texas today?
Downtown South Texas. I don't know. I mean, I've been trying to keep up with this news, but I don't even know what's going on anymore.
Exactly. Exactly. No, I mean, it's a fun day Friday. We should actually be out there. The heat's going to be around. I was in 118-degree heat in the shade yesterday. That's what the temps came back.
Mm,
And that was in the shade. So, I mean, you could probably
that's
tell I'm
insane.
a little red. Um, and I was in a
Oh,
truck
I
with
thought
no
you saying
AC.
your I thought your brain's a little fried.
Mm. No, man, my brain's not fried. That's probably Sandra, but not mine. Um,
Okay,
who knows
okay.
where she's at? Anyway, anyway. Well, so what all has been happening down there in your world is this Taco Truck Friday? Are y'all going to have your stuff out today, or is that next week?
No, no, I'm not doing events right now. I'm on a little hiatus again around that. I'll have to pick it up again soon, but I'm just joining other people's events right now. And it's hard to do outdoor events because people they don't want to come out in the heat.
Yeah. Oh, it's
And not
hellacious. I've had a lot of people out here that
yeah,
are
not
like, "Hey, we'll come out after 6 p.m."
Yeah, but for like 2 weeks after it got dark, it was even hotter. It was like um, the 70 it was 76 degrees outside, but the real feel, the humidity was like 95. How is this
Yeah.
possible? Where are
No,
the where are
I,
those where are those Democrats that say they can control the weather? What are they doing?
well, they're putting up more. They're putting up more fans.
Hmm.
As they put these wind turbines up, they're actually generating air to
Hmm.
keep the globe spinning. That's what I tell people. That's all they're good for.
That's what they're for. I always wondered about that. That's what the energy is for. Okay, okay, that all makes sense now.
Hmm.
Thank you for, what I like about you, Walter, is I always learn something new.
Oh yeah, no, I'm definitely trying to educate and populate.
Yeah, that's how I do it. That's why I watch the show, get a little education. I mean, learn from you about what's going on in the world, and from Sandra about how raccoons are banned from Texas or something like
Yeah,
that.
yeah, raccoons are banned from Texas. And did you know that porcupines are an invasive species?
Are they really?
They really are. So if you see a porcupine, I was actually told you're supposed to use a three-pronged fork, not a four-prong, not a five-prong, but three prongs makes it easy to snag them. I'm like, ouch! I don't know if I want a dead porcupine. I'd want them gone. And if they're dead, do they still shoot their spines out?
That's a good question. I know skunks will still spray you if they are dead.
Yep. Yeah. No, we were trying to get a skunk sack. I was gonna play a trick on somebody. We were down in South America, Central America, and there was a skunk that had come around. Didn't go as planned, but luckily it wasn't me that was messing with it because the guy that was, it took him 2 days to get that smell off.
Ooh, jeez. But look, Miss Patty wants to join in.
What? Yep,
She
she sure
said,
does.
"Send me a link."
And she hates raccoons. Man, I love this. We can totally make some fun stuff happen. Miss Patty, I'm
Oh,
sorry you don't see my arms moving, but I am making stuff happen right now as we speak. So yeah, because I was actually wanting to get an update from her on what in the heck is going on back in old Mocha. Um,
yeah.
those folks there. How are things with the any party related items out on your side of town? Any candidates jumping in out there anytime early?
Any what? I'm sorry, my headphones aren't that good.
Any candidates jumping in early into y'all's races out there?
No, actually, I don't even. Atascosa County is the worst with elections because only in your main in Jerdington and Pleasanton do they know what's going on. Out
Yeah.
here, like where I'm at the edge of the county, I don't know who's running. There's no information. You can't look it up. You don't know you don't
Mhm.
know anything. You find a lot of the people out here, they find out when they get to the ballot box, like, okay, oh, I didn't know this person was on here. Cool, I'll vote for them.
He dated
Don't
my
know their
sister.
stance or anything.
Uh
Exactly.
huh.
I don't know their
Yeah.
stance or anything, but I knew him back in the day, back in high school. He seemed like he was all right. Or I didn't like that guy back in high school. I'm not going to vote for him. No way.
Yeah. Remember we were drag racing, and anyway, and he got me home late at night. Oh, he's a cool dude. Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and vote for. Let's put him in Congress. As a matter of fact, he can make decisions in
Exactly.
our life based upon the bad decisions we made in high school.
Yeah, he learned his lesson. Exactly.
Yeah, that's,
Can't trust people who don't make bad decisions when they're younger.
exactly. Oh no, no, and you know what? You know what's funny is I was watching. Nancy Mace had some folks on, and I was watching her,
Hmm.
and she actually admitted that she didn't graduate high school in 1995. Oh, watch this. Watch this. Hang on.
Oh my God.
Hey,
Good morning,
it's
guys.
it's Miss
Hey,
Pat.
Miss Patty.
Now we cover Texas.
Hola,
Yes,
¿cómo
got all
estás?
Texas covered.
Wait, are you on the island, on Tibbs Island, or are you back in Texas?
Heck, I'm on the mainland.
On the mainland, okay.
I'm in Moco,
Stateside.
stateside.
She's stateside. That's exactly right. Well, Miss Pat, what is happening there? I'm hearing from Mr. Smith over in Orange County, David Smith. He's my gold guy. I'm actually going to be getting him on the show here the next couple of weeks. But he's got a new candidate running for sheriff out in Orange County. Uh, dropped his name in here, David. But Miss Pat, how is our sheriff's race running in Old Moco?
Well, interesting. There are rumors and rumors about races here, but no actual names thrown in the hat as of yet, other than sheriff.
Okay, Sheriff Rand Henderson, and then what's his name? Howdy Doody. What's it? Howdy Doolittle?
Now, see, I'll always think of him as Howdy Doody now because it won't come. Well, actually, there's two guys that were ex-Texas Rangers, and the one named Ford, something Ford, and then we have Doolittle.
Wait a minute. There's two former Texas Rangers that are possibly running in Montgomery County.
I believe that Ford used to be with the DPS, and then he was also, I think, with the sheriff's office. But now he's with neither, and he's running against Rand.
Okay. But, running for that seat. Well,
But
that's
since we don't really know where we don't really have a Republican office anymore. I'm not sure. Do they mail in their filing?
that's a good question. You know what? That's a very good question. Was that addressed in the Supreme Court case that they filed?
Yeah,
Yes. Who runs as a Republican if your county chairman can't meet at the actual county headquarters?
well, and since his office they deny entrance to people they don't like, does this mean a candidate that goes up there, if they don't like them, they won't let them in?
Oh, that's it. You know what? That's kind of the get on the back of the bus theory. Yeah.
Anyway, things are going to get real interesting around here if the RPD
It's gonna be like
doesn't
Forrest
step
Gump.
in.
It's gonna be like Forrest Gump. Seat
Yeah, well,
taken.
well, as
Oh my goodness.
we're looking into our crystal ball, I would say that the primary is going to be interesting since we have no real headquarters. We don't even know who the judges are going to be, the election judges. We don't know who. I mean, there's just so many questions here.
Yep. The Republican Party run amok in Moco, and
Yeah, and it makes you
yeah.
wonder exactly who's behind it.
Oh my goodness. Hey, speaking of Republicans, hey, hang on. Let me let me draw it out here.
Oh no.
Uh-oh.
There he is, Jack Alcott.
It's the guitar man.
Good morning.
So this guy was the former Texas Republican County Chairman Association president. He was the chairman of all chairmen, and in case you didn't forget, or in case you did forget, Miss Patty, he is one of the ones that voted 63-0 with us in 2018 over the debacle we had then with Chairman Wilkerson, and now who knows who's thinking whatever with what's happening now. So we just have no clue.
Well,
It was just a pleasure to be served.
Can we pose to Jack what he thinks should happen with this debacle now?
Which debacle? You got to be more specific.
Oh, well, we have a rogue county chairman who has taken his minority group of precinct chairs, and he's formed his own little group called a club, and he's not doing the work of the Republican Party for the county. And while the majority of the precinct chairs are trying to do the work of the party, and the RPD
What is it
and
with Montgomery County?
do what?
What is it with Montgomery County? You know,
Well, we have a group of people that actually read the Constitution and want to abide by it and abide by the RPT rules, and a group that doesn't. I think it's as
Yeah.
simple as,
So you are splitting into two factions.
yeah.
Oh
well,
yeah.
that
No,
does tend to.
we've been split.
And the thing is,
But
I don't
you know,
think it's
and I'm
just South
sure
Carolina.
it's already been exhausted. The first thing we always want to happen is that it be under local control and resolved locally, right? And then when that can't happen, then there's mediation. You know, the TRCCA can be dispatched to be the middle mediator, and then of course there's always the RPT. Um, but you know, I found out the hard way. I had the perfect case of a deadbeat chair. The chair had not called meetings in 2 years. Um, they had done the canvassing by themselves. And the straw that broke the camel's back was when they failed to pay their poll workers. So that's when it bubbled up and came to our attention. So I went to the top of the top RPT lawyers and I said, listen, here's the perfect example of somebody not performing statutory work. Okay. What's our ability? What's our legal right to replace this chair? And the answer was ask them politely to resign. That's what? Wait a minute. You're telling me then the Texas election code, you know, we've got somebody who has abandoned the position. Yes, they do their statutory paperwork with the SOS, but there's so much more above and beyond that. And they said, our professional legal opinion is please ask them please to resign. And that was the only option.
Well, I think we've done all of those. We've done the
The only
media.
option is to be nice.
Be nice. And you know, if you followed the old days of Roadhouse with Patrick Swayze, there's a whole be nice section of things. I had a very endearing friend. She is a beautiful lady. She's one of our elected judges. And I said, play this clip of Be Nice. And I totally forgot that it had a bunch of expletives in there. And off of faith, she listened to me and she played this to a Republican women's club at a church.
Oh, good, Walter.
And
Walter.
it was Patrick Swayze. Oh, I totally forgot about those, but it was, you know, ask people nicely. Be nice. You ask them. If they don't go, make them go. Be nice. And then the guy comes back and says, "Well, how do we know when it's time to not be nice?" He's like, "I'll tell you."
See, Walter has his book. It's really thick. It's called How to Win Friends and Influence People. He uses it to beat up people over the head with it. Isn't that right?
Yep. Yep. It's exactly. Yeah. Dale
By the way,
Carnegie.
I donned
Well, it's
maroon today in honor of my oldest daughter, who is at
oh,
Mays Business School, Texas A&M. Gig 'em.
Yep. Yep. We'll give a double whoop right there. So that'll be the thing. A&M was a fun school. Whenever I got to play there for several years, it was kind of neat.
well, I've driven
What did
through
I
mine.
interrupt when I came in?
Other than that,
Well, nothing really. Everyone's trying to figure out what Sandra is. I actually know she's with one of her candidates is that she's going to be running is got some really neat stuff happening. So
You
there's
didn't hear the news?
what's that?
No, Sandra went to the ER. She got diagnosed with Pickaboo disease. Pickaboo disease. They sent her straight to the
No,
ICU.
no. Sandra's in jail. Everybody knows that. I mean, you see the face tattoos? I mean,
Oh yeah, yeah.
they've come out. I got pictures of those.
I couldn't help
actually,
it.
Actually, I understand she's researching opening a raccoon rescue farm.
Yes, she
Yep.
did say she wanted to steal all the animals from the circus.
Yeah. Little does she know that you can't move a raccoon more than 15 miles from where you capture him. So I'm not real sure how she's going to do this, but
Oh,
Well, all I know is raccoons are like children. Once they hit adolescence, you don't want to have anything to do with it.
amen.
That's true. I mean, everybody
yep.
put in the comments right now where you think Sandra is. That's going to be a new game we're going to play. Where in the world is Sandra Witten?
Where's Sam? Yeah, it's usually where's Waldo, but yeah, where's Witten? That's what
Yeah.
we're gonna have to ask.
Where's Witten? There, that's better. I like that. Where's Witten?
Well, hopefully she's at the drugstore buying a new hairbrush.
So where are we today with the good old fashioned Mexican standoff we got on the border between Biden and the buoys?
Yeah, man.
Yeah, Biden and the buoys, and you know what? That's kind of it's kind of reached a funny nexus down here. We have a lot of people that are now coming out saying, "Hey, we're kind of getting shafted on the wall deal. They're the state's not offering as much money as people could get for their land if they were to sell it to a private investor." And like, well, we're not going to eminent domain, and it's like, okay, great, but at the same time, the wall. I think they've spent $830 million, and if you go to the website, and right now there's only 1.9 miles that's been put up. Think of that.
1.5 miles?
1.9 miles. It's about
1.9.
830 something billion is what they've got on their website as being spent.
That reminds me of those $10,000 a plate fundraisers. I always tell those people, listen, they sell plates at Walmart. You can get them cheaper.
Isn't that the truth?
Well, the best part about that is I always go in a tuxedo with tails, so I look like and I just say, "Where's the staff?" And then they let me go in, and of course I, flip the jacket inside out, and bam, I'm in the middle of it.
So that's how you get into all those dinners.
Yeah.
Okay, good to know.
That makes
And
sense.
he just walks in and tells them he's security, and nobody's going to question that.
True.
Well, that makes it easier.
Yeah, I did have a time or two where I would pull the Eddie Murphy. I'm still waiting to go to someplace like Beverly Hills and steal a house for a week. But
Walter, I'll give you a hint. Look, all you gotta do is wear a white shirt and carry a ladder. You can actually walk into anywhere. Nobody will even question you.
Because Simon, couldn't you see Walt actually putting a banana in somebody's tailpipe?
Yes, I could see that.
There's probably video of that.
Actually, when those movies came out in the '80s, that's whenever I was learning how to drive and get around town. So yeah, our stuff wasn't caught on YouTube. It wasn't filmed yet. So here I am. What am I? 40 years later, and yeah, we're not going to get caught because not everybody had one of these in their hand.
Well, definitely not.
Well, YouTube's a new thing. And that invented in 2011.
Mm-hmm.
Did Al Gore take credit for that too?
After the climate change, yes.
Of course not. Everybody knows why YouTube was invented.
What's that?
Right? Honestly, it was because of Janet Jackson.
Oh, really?
Her little Super Bowl stunt happened, and nobody could find the video of it. So a group of guys said we should be able to, so they created YouTube.
Ah, I thought you were talking about the Republican chairman, Janet Jackson.
Well, I don't know. Did she have a slip too, or what?
Oh, I better not go down that road. I left her on good terms.
Okay.
Yeah, no. Last time I saw her was in 2019. Yep. Yeah, last time I spoke to her was
2019.
Yeah. But she is she was one of our former chairpersons for one of the counties up there in Northeast Texas. She was a
Mm.
Republican chairwoman. So
Someday,
Dedicated a
Walter,
lot
when you're doing
of
nothing, you should sit down
time,
and write a book on it.
money, energy. Whether you agreed with her or not, she was at least always out there and always working, and that is a fact.
Yeah.
yes, indeed, yes, indeed. Well, and yeah, there's and right now we're going to have to see where we're going with the Republican Party in Texas, because with the not being able to figure out who's doing what, we have Gillespie County. Obviously, we've heard about they've got a rogue chair, hadn't held meetings in a couple of years. Same thing with Colorado County. Man, it's Texas is not as red as people think it is, and we're at a time where we have to get those candidates. We need to get the right candidates in there, not a bunch of the wrong ones. That's, you screw around too much, guess what you just stuck with? Dan Crenshaw.
Yeah. Walter, I hate to do this, but you're overdue for a commercial break.
Oh yes, let me get us to our commercials and
To our paid sponsors.
Yes, paid sponsors.
Is sponsored by where?
And then you have to do the spiel afterward.
yeah, I'll do the spiel. Here we go for the show. Hola, hola, hola. And yeah, here's the spill. They can't find Sandra, so she is missing in action. So anyway, thank
Missing
you.
soon.
No, I do need to thank our sponsors, the Montgomery County Tea Party, and of course, Mr. Watkins there at Skyland Properties. He is the property man because his properties are trucks and logistics. He is making stuff move and put things where it needs to go. Um, and heck, the Fredericksburg Tea Party, they're fixing to be coming up with their event happening next month, and uh, it's usually at the YO Banquet Hall there in Kerrville, and the YO Cafe, YO Ranch, whatever it is. It's a event center there, and it's always packed. Last year they totally killed it. They had the thing was over was far over. So this year they'll have the Middletons that are doing their thing, and then of course we have John Boucher. Johnny and his Sensations are performing tonight at the Pacific Yard House in Conroe, Texas. Montgomery County Tea Party will be there. So anyway, Jack, what's
Uh,
been happening up in your
Vietnam.
world?
Hold on.
Oh,
Vietnam
oh, oh,
veterans and Mammoth Nation.
exactly. Yep. That's right. The Vietnam veterans. Well, I know several of those guys. Um, every time I see one, I always tell them welcome home because that's not what they were given. Um, they were spat on, and what's sad is nobody realizes this. Most of the people that protested the Vietnam War, if you go and look at who's in Congress over the past 15, 20 years, that's what they did. They protested the warriors on decisions the politicians made, and they spat on them. And then you have people like Nancy Pelosi that ran for office. So we do have some Vietnam veterans that came into Congress and whatnot, but for the most part, most of your managing, your Nancy Pelosi's, those kind of folks, those were the folks, Bill Clinton, they were protesting the war. So anyway,
My father-in-law, his name was David Henshaw. He was an airborne ranger, did 3 tours, 69 through 71, Vietnam. And he told me the story. It was the only story he ever told me about his time in service, that they stopped in Hawaii on their way back home and were told to put on civilian clothes before they flew to the mainland to try to avoid just exactly the scene you described.
yep, yeah, no, that was, um, whereas, and that's kind of the funny thing. Whenever I came home from overseas, now they shuttled us on to a commercial airliner. Of course, we were in our combat gear. We were even our dress gear, and it was one of those things. I thought we were going to a certain part of the airport. They paraded us through the middle of the airport, and the coolest thing was going to the uh, yeah, what was Bob Hope's show called? The
Oh, the USO?
the USO. So the USO they have. I've slept in many of them. So hey, that's my brain damage, my brain damage. Um, I've slept in many of them, and we were on our way to the USO so we could go hang out and chill out. We were in Dallas, and I'll never forget. There was 11 of us, and our commanders walking through, and this old timer walks out of the bar. He goes, "Where are you guys just getting back from Afghanistan?" We're like, "Yeah," and he goes, "Man, let me come in here. I want to buy you fellas a drink." And so we're sitting there like, well, actually, we're in uniform. I don't think we can. We're allowed to do that. And it turns out he was a Vietnam veteran. And the funniest thing was our commander was sitting right there. He goes, "Well, technically, he is a taxpayer, which makes him your boss." So we let him. We walked inside. He bought a round for everybody, and we shared some good stories while we were in there. And he was in Vietnam. He owned a aircraft company. So he was just whatever he was doing at the airport, because he was flying commercial airlines, even though he's got his own plane. So I don't know what he was why he was hanging out, but we were just passing through, and get in here and let me buy you around. So it was a neat thing. And he told us about exactly with the med deck how the soldiers and sailors, airmen, Marines were getting spit on when they came back from Vietnam, and it was and we kind of see that now. Well, now it's a little bit different. Now they're trying to tranny up everything. Wait, that word's going to get advanced. I'm talking about transmission. Um, but the
Well,
trans soldier Navy community, that's what they're trying to do with us now.
have either of you ever been at Fort Worth, DFW, whenever a plane comes in and is full of soldiers?
Yeah.
I've been there
Well,
several
No, I
times.
haven't.
I've got today, and it's just such a beautiful thing where everybody, staff and travelers, will stop what they're doing, form lines, and applaud those men and women as they're deplaning. And it's a very touching sentiment. And if you haven't done it before, I suggest that you pay attention next time you're at DFW Airport.
yeah. Well, except now it's the Ukraine, and yeah, we're not going to see the amount of well, who knows? It looks like the Biden administration is ramping us up on. I think they're going to try to outdo the Bushes on wars between Bush and Obama. We'll see who can outdo who.
Yeah, it's awful. Walter, you got a couple comments here from Ashley. She said, "Where is Sandra? And do you ever feel like you have bricks stacked on your chest?"
Yep. See, can you see the bricks right there? This is I don't know how to get this background off that she put on here. This is crazy because I have a decent, yeah. Oh, that's how she does it. There's a whole solo layout. Man, I'm remembering this thing. That anyway. No,
So you haven't hosted
and
in a
then
while.
yeah, definitely have. Well, usually I've got some content or whatnot, but yeah, I got a phone call that said we're taking her in, and I was like, "Where are you taking her into?" And there was a bunch of screaming and gnashing of teeth, and I think that was the actual guards. So I know that they're going to hold her wherever she's at.
Prison, gotcha.
Yep. It's probably getting
So
over.
instead of a fund for a car, we need to
Yeah.
start the Release Sandra Fund.
Yep. Yep. Ashley's asking about that. She missed the banana time. Is that wait? Is that the bananas up your tailpipe? That I think that's what we were
Yeah,
referring
bananas
to.
in the tailpipe.
Yep. Ashley, she got into corn dogs for a while there. One of her favorite legislators. What's her name? Lacey Hull. That was she made the corn dog famous. So but, I guess it's time for bananas. But, you can always scorch them out and make a smoothie later. But, well, the neat thing is we will have at 11. I've got the general coming on. Eric, of course, will he will hit up and give us what's new happening up there in DC. This we had a couple of acquittals, which was nice, but at the same time, that whole joke fest up there is unreal. Uh, what's happening? I think Jacob Chansley, he was the big Buffalo head dude. He's served his time. He's gotten out, and he is starting to talk. And actually, he's not as crazy a guy as what people would think. And to be honest with you, what a lot of people didn't know, he actually led in the Lord's Prayer when he walked outside of the Capitol onto the steps. And they were trying to say that he was inciting a riot by doing the Lord's Prayer. So
Wow.
I think you know what that means.
Attack on religion much?
Oh, yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean,
Please
and
give
what do
us
they?
this day daily bread and insurrect against those who insurrect against us. Is that how it goes?
That's
Something like that.
that is something just like that. So anyway, well, hey, I got the general coming on. Let me add him to the stream here. There he is. What is happening, young man?
What's going on
What's
here?
up, General?
How's it going, y'all?
It is.
The General,
It
it's
is
a
going.
pleasure. Finally in person. It's a pleasure. Not exactly,
Yeah.
but
Yeah, good to see you. What
I
are
tell you
y'all
what,
talking?
look at that. The General, I want to talk about the fact that I'm so jealous. I haven't shaved in 6 months, and this is the best I can do. You probably shaved this morning, didn't you?
Man, I shaved last week. I shaved it all off. I can't get rid of it, man. Yeah, that's what you get. I mean, I started shaving in my freshman year of high school, and had a beard my sophomore year, and I had kids actually think I was a teacher. So yeah. I rewrote a song in honor of Louis Armstrong. I wanted to share it with you. It's not completed yet, but I'm gonna share a little bit of it with you. It goes like this: I see gays a grooming, presidents pooping, falling upstairs, incoherently stupid, and I think to myself, what a foobar commie world.
Hey, I need for you to make that into a video, and we can pop that on here, and we can play it like a commercial. That is awesome. Uh, can't wait for the rest of it to hit.
It's not done yet. I gotta complete it, but yeah, we living in a crazy time, man.
It's a mad world.
Insane.
Amen.
We got
And
Sam Bankman-Friedman ripping off people left and right, sending 40 million off to the Democrat Party, and then they find him, they acquit him all of his charges. We got Hunter Biden that should be in prison for 20 years, and of course we know what's going to happen with that deal. But then we got the J6ers out there that were protesting, exercising their First Amendment right, and being put away for years. So we're living definitely a commie world.
well, I think the Jan Sixers, the problem that they had, they should have showed up with pitchforks and with the lighted sticks, ready for arson. That's the only way you can get away with anything is if you actually damage, maim, and burn stuff down.
Yeah, if they'd have had a BLM flag, they'd be all right. That'd have been fine.
yeah. I would somebody would have wrote them a check, a big fat check.
Mm-hmm.
There you go. Take it easy now.
Well,
Indeed.
what's going on with this guy Abbott here in Texas? Here, Walt. That's I know he seems like he's got some I don't know, some kind of some newfound balls. I'm not talking about the ones on the Guadalupe either. Or the Rio.
All the Rio
Well, he was
Grande, yeah.
I mean, he's a rhino until you threaten to take away his balls. Then there he comes.
I'll stand for your balls, Texas.
I don't think you will.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. It feels very choreographed, and I don't know what to believe with this guy Abbott anymore.
And especially with and especially with the fact, here we are. So Ken Paxton's out. We now no longer have John, who was the Attorney General that was just appointed. We've already got a female that's John Scott, who was the former Secretary of State. So and he was also the first assistant for Abbott back when he was the AG. So John Scott has now stepped down, and now they have a new acting Attorney General. And until we can get to the trial next month, we're going to have Ken Paxton in there, and I guarantee you, it's going to be Dick DeGuerin and Rusty Hardin. So that's going to be a fun. Those are two power attorneys, and I think it's going to be really, really neat. It's still a poop show for Texas because it was a bipartisan effort that got everything going, and we don't need to be here. Ken Paxton could be actually doing his job, getting stuff done, making sure his prosecutors and his attorneys are representing the state. So
That reminds me about the fact that they still don't know, and they'll never tell us, who left the cocaine in the Situation Room. Well, at least in Texas, our elected officials are nice enough to leave it in envelopes with their letterhead on it and their name. So, you you can tell whose cocaine belongs to who.
Yep. Yes, indeed. Actually, really quick, she's actually put in here into the comments actually a link there, and I'm interested to see who the whistleblower, because we had several whistleblowers in Paxton's office. We had one, the former Texas Ranger David Maxwell, and in several of the cases that I've been working, criminal cases that I've been working, we have found out that Paxton's office wasn't prosecuting dirty cops. And then when he came to find out about it, it actually was Paxton had no clue about it. It was the former Texas Ranger that was the chief of law enforcement for Paxton's office. And with what happened with that guy, he was allowing dirty cops to go free. And now those dirty cops are coming back for retribution. They just didn't realize that some of us got a hold of the evidence of their criminal investigation before it was expunged. And so we have the video of police officers testifying against police officers, and the big question is, why didn't the state do anything about it? So, it was a lame excuse. I heard one of the lame excuses I heard was, well, we didn't want the police to look bad while 2020 was happening. We're like, you got to be kidding me. The good cops are tired of the stigma being left on them by the bad cops. And
Okay.
you can look at that as by departments. If you what is one really bad department? Oh yeah, the U.S. Capitol Police. There you go. That's one. You go up there. Oh, look at the nice police officer. We're walking into Congress. Whatever. You got your kids with you. You take pictures. It's going to be a nice thing until you go back and you think about what happened January 6th, where it looks like they were working for Nancy Pelosi the whole entire time. It looks like and they're actively going around. They developed the procedure for the FBI to go out and pick these people up all throughout the country. So the Gestapo, first of all, is under the direction of the left wing politicians and some of the right wing politicians. But either way, they're under the politicians. That's why we stick so heavy with the sheriffs. The sheriffs are elected and can be unelected, and the sheriffs of any county, they can throw out as long as there's no corruption on their part, they can throw out any law enforcement officer to include the federal agents. They can tell them to get out, and because by law, if the feds want to come arrest somebody, they have to let the sheriff's department know, hey, we're in your county, we have to do this, and the sheriff can say, no, you're not, and they can get a judge ruling to kick everyone out if they. I'm waiting for the day whenever some of our border sheriffs put cuffs on some of these federal agents that come in and make a heyday of what's happening.
I tell you what, it was an absolute pleasure this week being up in Fort Worth, surrounded by about, I believe they had roughly 196 sheriffs from around the state there. And let me tell you, steel sharpens steel, right? And being around these men and women that put that badge on and take on that constitutional responsibility, it was an uplifting event. I never saw nothing but a smile on people's faces, and the camaraderie that was there was touching, and the fact that pretty much everybody shares the same pain, especially the smaller counties, right? And the same pain is that the bad guys don't care what your budget is, okay? They're going to keep doing what they do, and they're going to have to keep getting caught, arrested, and processed and detained regardless of what the budget is, so that's a common thread from El Paso to Galveston, where there's just not enough money in the system to handle what needs to be done with quality equipment and properly trained personnel. So next time you see your commissioner, no matter where you are, be sure to put a plug in for your sheriff's department when it comes time for budget season. You know what I mean?
No, exactly. And funny you mentioned that, Jack. And he's not even talking about he's only talking about the elected officials right there. So the defunding the police, those guys. That's the sad part. Now we're finding these cities and towns all around the nation. You got to defund the cops. They're bad. What are they doing? We need more police. Yeah, the little social experiment did not work. So, but no, that's kind of complicated. Of course, Jack's talking about the Texas Sheriff's Association met in Fort Worth this past weekend. You know, they had all their little breakout sessions. And yeah, that's a fun time to be had by all that are able to attend. Um, 'Cause that's where the good, the bad, the ugly go. I mean, I was looking at the pictures and I'm going, wow, I can't believe that sheriff showed up. You know, son's getting convicted of only drug trafficking charges, but typical Democrats, they show up to get the picture made anyway. That's
Yeah. I grew up in Fort Worth, and Fort Worth, it changed a whole lot. It's Fort Worth has always been a pretty corrupt city. It's from the very beginning, Fort Worth was the police were shut down, and the Texas Rangers had to take over. That's the origins of Fort Worth police were that of complete corruption, and I mean they literally had to be shut down, and they had to come in and it wasn't just like horrible when I was growing up when I was younger, but they still did dirty stuff. I mean, I knew dirty cops. I knew personally. I knew like say Officer Hubbard. Grew up with that guy and liked him, man. He was my friend. He was good cop. I thought he was a good cop, and he was the the guy that was around the school area and the Southwest area and all that kind of stuff where I grew up. And it turns out that he was, fraudulently doing overtime, with the police officer, massive overtime, fraud, and just ripping the Fort Worth people off. And I mean, yeah, I like him, but what he did was messed up. So, I mean, I grew up with corrupt police officers. I mean, I knew them in the area, I knew what was going on in that city. And as it progressed, I mean, I left out about 5 years ago. I left Fort Worth because it was just all corrupt. I mean, the crime was horrible. The police were corrupt. They were, the justice system had crumbled to a ridiculous place. The police were just out of control. It was just it turned into a really weird little city, man. And it killed me leaving it because, growing up there, it was a pretty cool little cowboy town. Wasn't all, wasn't a big population, about 150,000 people, 180,000 when I was growing up. Now all these people moved there, because they were, Fort Worth was number one to move to in the nation for like 2 years or 3 years or something like that. And everybody decided to move there. So we got like literally all the scum from Chicago, from, California, from, Oregon. Katrina happened and we ended up getting, an influx of people from Louisiana. And before you know it, you're looking at a city that you don't recognize anymore, full of people that you don't know. And it's like, it's a sad thing, really. But I had to leave it. I had to leave it behind. Just wasn't the same city.
Yeah, no.
Walt, I had one moment where I got, I was kind of I mean, of course, I'm surrounded by the best of the best, right? But I finally got to meet in person the Chief Texas Ranger, Jason Taylor.
Yep. Sandra told me that y'all had a pretty good meeting. As a matter of fact, if I'm not mistaken, didn't he say you were the best karaoke they had for the night?
He certainly did. So I got that going for me.
And what people don't realize is while the cops were inside, because I didn't go into the convention, while the cops they were inside, somebody was roaming around the parking lot with bananas. Yep. They sat there thinking, "What? I ain't falling for no banana in my tailpipe." Nope. Anyway, but no, they had a lot of good technology that they were coming out with some policies, some breakout sessions, and whatnot. Talked to one of my favorite sheriffs. Well, I hadn't talked to Roy Boyd yet. I know he was there, but as a matter of fact, I heard that Kenny County Brad Coe gave me a shout out. so, so apparently he was still wearing his mic whenever Sandra walked up to him, and he goes, "Where's that ugly guy that you're always hanging out with?" And then of course they're like, "Hey, your microphone's still on." They probably thought he was going to drop an F bomb. Not that guy. He's one of the plainest sheriffs we've got. But no, him and Thad Cleveland and Greg Capers and Ray Del Bosque, they were out doing their thing, and funny enough, everyone seems to be look in their direction. They're some of the most outspoken on the border with Sheriff Boyd, and they are, on the border issues and security, and things are slowly turning back around where we need them to go. And I think in large part that's because of the sheriffs that we've got down there that are actually they're pushing the envelope right now, and they're trying to get anyone in the federal government to come forward, so and do their job.
Yeah, I got a story about the Kinney County Sheriff. I went down and met him. They made a call out. I don't know if you remember. They made a call out. He made a call out saying that, come on down, we'll deputize you, and we'll have you assist on the border and all that kind of stuff. And it was kind of a mess. It kind of created a pretty kind of messed up situation. There was a lot of people that were wanting to come, from all around the country, and he ended up, backtracking a little bit on that. And it's good that he did that. I mean, it's good that he backtracked, because there was a lot of people that were wanting to come down. They were just wanting to go Rambo on the border, and kind of create a bad situation that the feds were just waiting. They were salivating over. They were waiting for this trap, to be able to pounce on it. And it was, I warned all the guys out there that were planning on coming. There was entire groups that were going to be coming in the hundreds and stuff. And I stopped them from doing it. I was like, hey, you're going to come out here. You think this is, you're just going to be able to roam around the border down here. I mean, the first time you shoot somebody, even if it's a cartel member, then you're going to be in deep crap. So there was a lot of stuff. I actually went down there and spoke with the Kinney County Sheriff, and sat down with him, and I, tried to find out what exactly he was trying to do, or what the sheriffs on the border were wanting to do. And really what they basically told me was, I met all the sheriffs down the border, went down and met them all, and found out what they wanted. And they didn't want anybody. They didn't want anybody to come, and there was a lot of people that thought that, that was like the call out. It was going to be, we're going to lock this border down, and we're going to go, Wild West on these fools and shut it all down. But that's not what any of the sheriffs wanted. They basically said, heed the warning now, one bullet, one person, coming over that border, and you're going to be in prison. And that's what's happened. We've seen that happen with even ranchers that have protected their own property. Some of them have actually been arrested, for doing so. So it's, that's one aspect of the Kinney County situation that I can tell you that was kind of a FUBAR situation too. That was, a lot of people were wanting to head down. They were all geared up to head down to the border and go, Wild West. And, there was one man by the name of Lucas Denny. He's actually in prison now for J6. And he was taken from Kinney County down there. The FBI wanted to do a big show, and they wanted to, basically attack Lucas. They wanted to go, and they had helicopter, they had armored vehicles, and they went up there to the Kinney County Sheriff's office, and sheriff there was like, hey, wait, hang on just a second, man. I know the rancher. Let me just make a phone call before you, rush out there and cause this guy to, be startled by you and end up having a bad situation. And they wanted a big show is what they wanted, against this guy, this 2-tour veteran of the Army, that was out there protecting a ranch, when the federal governments failed to do so. And they wanted to, literally, they wanted something to happen. They wanted to go after.
So I know that the actual situation. I know that one personally. They had the news media, they had helicopters delivered, they had the armored vehicles delivered to the federal building in Del Rio, and
Yep.
that was the thing. They were gonna have this big media driven. It was gonna be like Waco, with the helicopters flying up, hopefully not ranches burning, but and children getting hosed with your poisonous gases that you're shooting in from your army tanks. But they were ready to go in Bradco specifically as soon as all that was found out. They said by 10 a.m. the next morning, all that equipment was on trucks and trailers headed back to San Antonio because he went out there and said, "Hey, let me snag you," and that's just it. The sheriff himself physically was like, "Yeah, you're not going to come into my county and say this. This is not what's going to happen." And so they actually went in. They actually had to go in, and it was a very peaceful situation. And then And then Lucas Denny, what did he do again? He was at the Capitol, if I'm not mistaken, at
Yeah,
January 6th. Is that right? He was.
lied or
Okay.
attack any officers or anything. He got 52 months in prison. Yeah,
Yep.
two veteran.
Well,
Served his country.
and not even that. I mean, take all that away. He was up there publicly, and as a former service member, I'm not putting any shade on what he's doing. I'm just saying, everybody sitting in prison right now is, they weren't doing Molotov cocktails. They weren't, and then on top of that, look at the informants, the federal agents that were actually in the crowd, inciting, a little bit more. That stuff has not come to light yet, and Congress knows about it. But I think they're waiting for a new group of people to get elected so they can just, they can turn this thing down. The steam that Marjorie Taylor Greene and all these other folks had, that steam is gone. Congress, there's a couple of them that go visit the Jan Sixers, but what are they really doing? There's no consistent pressure.
It's just a matter of time, Walt, because remember, history repeats itself. Alex Jones, Alex Jones, InfoWars, how you doing? He got his start by doing the documentary on Mount Carmel, the David Koresh, Waco, Texas, right down the road here. And he had the footage showing that the gunfire was going into the building, not from within the building out. Okay, that had been suppressed and lied about for years until he cracked it open.
Yep.
Well, that's the three letters, man. It's and then they go in and they lied about everything. That's the MO. It doesn't matter what really happened. It just matters what they say, really. And Lucas was not charged, by the way. Lucas Denny was not. He was not charged with anything. They just arrested him. The feds just took him. They kidnapped him from Texas and took him up to Oklahoma and forgot about him and left him there. Never charged him. Just sat in a jail with no charges for over 100 days, beyond the time frame that you can even hold somebody to even charge. Which, I mean, you look at that and you think, I mean, it's how can something like that happen? I mean, it's and then when they go to get the charges dismissed because they failed to make charges, to do charges on them, they threaten with more charges. They threaten them with serious felonies that mount up to 20 years in prison is what they threaten. So I mean,
how can that happen in our criminal? I mean, White House. Comrade.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's unreal what the American public will let the politicians get away with. That's what should scare people.
Yep.
The fact that the latest campaign speech, bam, here we are. We've got folks that like look at Tony Gonzalez. I'm going to beat up on him in Congress right now. He was censured by the party. I've been talking to people all over the district, and they're like, well, what was he censored for? It was a local county party, right? I'm like, no, the state party did it. And they laid out the list of violations of how he went against the tenets of what the party had out there. And what people don't realize, this is all just since last summer. This is in the past year only. Has not, because the way the Republican Party of Texas works, it's every 2 years, and it's comical that we have all of these Republicans on that side that are still pushing his paperwork whenever the party is physically saying no, we're not going to do it. Look at the Fed on the federal level, the Kevin McCarthy's and all that. We got to keep Tony Gonzalez in office. If Tony Gonzalez's people are speaking up saying we want change, I think the people in D.C. should have the respect of that district and say, you know what, we think those voters should decide, because this is why the stolen election, all the stuff they're talking about. Why is that? Oh, because the feds got involved on a congressional level, and those morons up there just cover for each other. That's all there is to it.
Yeah. Well, politicians be politicians.
Yep.
I've got
all
to
about
bounce because I got the lights on. I got to go down for dollars.
the. Well, Jack, it was good having you on. Thank you for popping in, and we will have some. I just switched all around. That was kind of an accident. That's kind of fun. We will see you on the flip side, but you and I need to get out and do some target shooting. I got a product I want to introduce you to.
I like it. All right, gentlemen, have a great weekend.
Jack, take
All
care,
right,
man.
you too. Uh, so, yeah, man, you hit the nail on the head, especially with the Kinney County thing. We've we've got some ranches that are being covered, but yeah, you had a bunch of felons show up with firearms, and now some of those folks they're sitting in jail. But I mean, what and to that note, what is the felon thinking? Whenever he knows he's had his gun rights taken from him, and then all these people, oh, it's the Constitution, it's the Constitution. Some of these people forgot about, and whenever felons' gun rights are taken, they can be reinstated and restored. But you have to go through the pardon process on that. And there's a lot of folks that just, they got my gun rights, and I mean, we're talking before they got caught down in Kinney County or over in Maverick County. What happened to them? They've been walking around, for the past 10, 15 years with guns in all their photos.
Yeah.
So,
Well, I mean, that whole deal with Kinney County, I mean, it's a pretty big mistake. I mean, it's at the same time, I get the gist of what he was trying to do. I mean, if I was governor of Texas, I would have called every single militiaman across the United States, 3%er, out to the border, and we would have shut the border down. It would be shut down. I would have taken 20,000 volunteers, and we would have covered the entire border, and I would have given them immunity. I would have, sworn them in. They would have, the immunity that police officers have in those situations. Don't fire until fired upon. And the government, they could have gone after me if they wanted to at that point, and I wouldn't have cared. I mean, they'd probably have to get through several layers of people before they got to me. We don't have a governor like that. We don't have uh, politicians that are willing to stand up against these agencies and this regime up there that's saying, hey, you have to allow it to be open. And now I guess they're threatening Abbott. I mean, because he put the balls in the river and Constantine wire up and stuff like that. I mean it's kind of interesting to see. We go. I jump back to about a year and a half ago, I guess, when Abbott called out the Texas National Guard and was sending them all down there. It was, I don't know, 10,000 or something like that. He was sending down. They were all on their way. They were actually heading down that direction already. And Biden made a public statement, threatening Abbott basically, and Abbott turned him around that very same day. That to me that was so yellow. I mean, that showed the soft yellow underbelly of Abbott when he did that. Man, he should have just not even listened to him and said, hey, and really what he should have done is declared it an emergency right away. He waited until this last month to do that. It was like a month ago when Abbott, declared it an actual, invasion emergency. And, it's something that should have been done a long time ago. We got issues, man. We got,
I think the declaration actually went out. The declaration went out last year. The one about the border. They're just finding out the ways of how they can fund and move things around now is what they're getting to. But that was my one issue because you had Alan West out there quoting line, chapter, and verse of the Constitution, and all the way through the whole entire process of the even the Republican Party of Texas convention, which was this time last year. Abbott did not show up for that at all. He threw a party in the parking lot of the restaurant across the street. But they finally came out, and it was a month and a half after that convention happened, and it was like, okay, the base is motivated, way to go. But then there were tricks to the emergency orders that were put out, and that's what they always do. They never can say, "Hey, we're going to shut this down," or These are going to be the parameters." They always quote some vague code And once they put that code in there, if you really read it, well, we can go this way or we can go this way, but it's never we're going to close the border and there's going to be no admittance, and leave it at that. And you're seeing with what's going on, like what just came out recently, they have a DPS trooper, a DPS medical trooper who sent a confidential, basically their confidential informant for the Houston Chronicle. So this is someone who doesn't believe in the mission. They were they reported they were being told to throw children back in the river, and I'm sitting there going, you know what? That's where the Houston Chronicle needs to produce who they talk to, because for a police officer to sit there and listen to those orders coming out and not question those, if I was sitting in that crowd, if that was actually true, I would have been fired, because it'd have been like, yeah, you can't buck the boss like that. Can't buck the boss, but at least I made my voice heard. And so for a trooper to come out with that as a confidential informant for the Chronicle, that tells me that was one, either a lie, or two, a trooper that was too afraid to stand up and do the right thing when it counted. And so that's, that right there, that's the biggest issue I've got, is all these government agencies pointing the finger. It's him. Oh, no, no, it's him. No, 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 it's that guy over there. Well, what's your job? If every federal agent that was supposed to be on the border said the law states I'm supposed to do such and such, well, the policy is this is what the policy is, that just came out. It's illegal, but we have to follow it. If it's illegal, then why are you following it? You're breaking the law.
Well, I mean, we wouldn't be having this issue right now if if it wasn't such a, if Biden's, residency wasn't such a pronounced, open invitation. I mean, you look at what happened when when Trump was president. They were all geared up. I mean, they thought Hillary was going to win. They thought, hey, the door is going to be open. So they started heading that way right away. And I mean, they didn't get the memo that Trump won. I mean, because it was already planned out. And so they had to postpone, but they started showing up at the beginning of his presidency, of Trump's presidency. And basically what he did is he shut them down. He shut that down. He started putting the wall up, made sure people weren't coming in. He actually started doing things to stop that from happening, and it stopped it. It stopped the flow. It stopped people from coming up in caravans. It discontinued. It's almost like they waited until the 2020 election, for Biden to get in there and up open door, and that's what they saw, and that's what they knew. They knew that that regime was going to protect them from anything that they needed to have protection for, and that's why they're still. I mean, they're still trying to tell Texas what we can do with our border. I mean, that's literally they're saying that you can and can't do this, and what they don't understand is that when it comes down to it, Texas eventually is going to wake up and realize, hey, we just need to tell these people where to go, where to shove it. I mean, that's really what the mentality that we're going to have to take with these federal people. As far as the border is concerned, the wall needs to go up. We need to be able to turn these people around. We don't need. I'm not saying throw them back in the freaking river, but what I am saying is they need to instantly be turned around. They don't need to be allowed to come in. They need to be just walked right back across the border where they came from. And if Mexico doesn't like that, that's tough shit. I mean, that's just the way it needs to be. So it's really it's all about putting your foot down and really finally coming to drawing a hard line in the sand and saying this is what we're going to do. We don't have that. We don't have that leadership in Texas. We don't have that. I mean, we don't, as far as that goes, you'll hear them talk, you'll hear them complain, you hear them tweet stuff out. They'll say different crap like that. But these representatives and the governor and so forth, they're not motivated to correct this situation at all. I mean, and the big red balls in the river. I mean, I mean, that's only going to do so much. I mean, are they going all the way down the river? Are they really stopping people from coming across? You know, I mean, it's pretty gimmicky to me. You know what I mean? It's almost like
Well,
it's like
as a person who physically works on the border, and they're 1,000 feet long, and I can tell you, up where there's a watermelon field to the north, and when the illegals were coming through prior to the fence being put up on his property, they were coming through damaging. I mean, we're talking $5 million a year in damage to some of these properties, and to the crops, and there's no insurance on that. I mean, because it's not covered any insurance. They're only covered for drought, things like that. Where the balls are now, it's Heavenly Farms. It's a pecan plantation, and that's an area where it's an actual crop, so you can't have illegal species, which animals or people is considered an illegal species. They're not allowed in there, and so they have to. They're the USDA is not enforcing the rules, of which they have to go in there and condemn all those crops, whether it's the trees or whatnot. So the balls are in the river at the Heavenly Farms area, and the neat thing that did for them is that made it to where people can't cross right there. So it has depleted their traffic there, but again, it's only 1,000 feet long. So all you're going to do is go to one end or the other, and then make your way around it. But for that area that they're sitting, they're not going to go through there. They have to go around it. So and then you can't go over it and you can't go under it. You have to go around it one way or the other. So
so
they're
either way you chop it up, it's ineffective. It's a gimmick.
well, it actually funnels them, so they're able to arrest more people at one time as opposed to being spread out for that 1,000 feet. They've now got 200 feet that's covered there here and on this end and 200 there. And the sad part is you've got the federal agents that are saying, here, hop in the boat, or here, let's put them in the van. And then you have the other ones who are like, let's take them back to the bridge so we can make them cross. Oh, no, I'm paroling this one. And so we're finally seeing the states standing up, doing the right thing with the feds. They're still listening to unlawful orders, and what an unlawful order is going to do. It's going to create the confusion, and it's going to create the distrust that it's created. Eventually, that's going to roll back on the agents, the personal federal agents themselves, not just the organization. So,
I mean, it's any way you put it, it's kind of beating around the bush. It's what Abbott's done. He's really, I mean, the buses. I get it. I mean, the buses are, I mean, we're sending them up to Democrat cities where they don't want them, where they don't, where they're saying that they want open borders and they want open, illegal immigration. They want them to come, but they don't want to take them into their sanctuary cities that they claim that they are. I mean, it's a very critical, weight mentality that they have. I mean, it's in a way Abbott has exposed that with the buses, so that's been effective in one way, but has it really slowed down the invasion? No, it absolutely hasn't.
And people, what people aren't looking at is, and what you're saying is spot on. We're not having as many border crossings right now. So, and that's a good thing that we're not having a lot of border crossings. So whose fault is that? Oh, it's not what you think it is. It's because now they're saying, hey, your CBP1 app, instead of crossing the river, meet us at the Mexico City airport. We'll fly you to Miami. Those kind of things are happening. So now, instead of paying the cartel the $3,000, the U.S. taxpayer is paying the new $3,000. So, that's all we're doing there. Let me throw us on our commercial real quick. I just got a text from Sandra saying, "Hey, it's 11:30." So I'll throw that and we'll come right back. And there we are. We are back for now. Let me bring back on the general here. We're having a pretty good conversation with what's happening. The ball's on the river. Um, bam. Here we are. Yeah. No, you're exactly right. We've been through too many gimmicks, and it's gotten down to where I'm liking the fact that you're having the sheriffs are actually doing the right thing, sending people back. Um, what is funny is we were talking about the Kenny County Sheriff. That was over a year and a half ago. He physically deported somebody. He took him to the port of entry, the bridge, and the option was take it. He also did the same with a medical situation as well. And actually, you know what? They had a medical situation where the illegals had their ambulances tied up, their EMS service systems tied up. It was easier for him to say, "Hey, go to the Mexican hospital because we can't get you into Del Rio and we can't get you into Uvalde." So think about that. It would be easier for if I were to get hurt where I'm at now, for me to go into Mexico to seek medical attention. Think how scary that is.
Yeah, I mean, it really comes down to, we shouldn't be allowing any illegal immigrants across the border. It shouldn't happen like that. It's eventually Texas is going to have to step up to the plate, and the people are going to have to wake up to the reality. Is I mean, I live down here by Corpus, in a little Mexican town, basically 5,000. I mean, it's 90% Hispanic, and I talk to them, and they're upset about it. They're pissed, man. They're not happy. You know,
Yep.
the they're having a hard time finding work. I mean, this is the reality of what happens. I mean, the populations that exist within the around the border areas and stuff like that. The people that live there, the citizens, they have a hard time. They end up people end up employing these people, and they end up paying them slave wages, man. And that's, I mean, it really comes down to the morality of these immigrants. What are they capable of doing? What are they, what are they, they skilled to do? I mean, they're not educated. They can't go and get, any kind of regular job. They're not documented. So, where are they going to, go get a job at? A lot of them, the majority of them don't speak English. So are they going to be going and speaking, I mean, how are they going to get a job where you're going to have to speak English? They're not going to be able to do that. So what they're doing is they have to do those labor jobs. They have to take over those labor jobs. And, historically what we've had is, uh, we've had, our populations be able to do that will do the job. And now they can't get a job. And if they do have to take a job, they have to damn near take a slave wage just to even get that job now, so they're not
You,
happy
you
about
know,
it.
what's funny about how you mentioned that. You're exactly right. I've got a friend of mine he's got a very large agricultural operation, and he pays based on performance. And he's got people that are, his lowest wages are down around $11 an hour range, but he's got people that are making $26 an hour. I mean, and we're talking everything paid for: your housing, your food, the day off whenever to go, into town and do your laundry and all that kind of stuff. These are actual legal visa workers, and the sad part is those people were held out of the gene pool for a while because the illegals were taking their spot. There was too much of a backlog of the illegals that the legal workers that come here and which is actually a good program because you're not going to get too many people that want to go out there and pick the fruits and whatnot. But whenever you have a visa, you have to have their minimum wage is over $13 an hour. That's what's required for the visa payment. The funny part is the employers. I didn't realize this. The employers actually have to pay $1,000 per person for the visa for them to be able to come and work. So just think of that. The employer is paying money to get you certified to bring you in, which you'll find is the case in the oil field, things like that, for certain areas. But they actually physically have to pay for your visa, and these guys actually, they said, oh yeah, these are the jobs nobody else wants, but I'm not going to hire illegal aliens. They recognize that, and I got a ton of respect for that. This is one guy in general. He's got farms in Georgia, Florida, Texas, New Mexico, Nicaragua, Mexico, and he's able to do, he's able to make do with what he's got. Where and he obviously he's making that he's pulling out a killing, but it's not easy. And having to, the politicians are just screwing it up. I'm listening to the DACA thing. These people. Oh, my parents came here as skilled labor, and so here I am at 21 years old. I'm considered a dreamer, and the reason I'm considered a dreamer is because I can't get my residency or anything like else like that. Again, because of the illegal aliens. We're a country founded on immigrants. Okay, fine, let's go with that. But here's the problem: whenever you have 10 to 20 million people illegally come in, now all the people, it's like being in a lunchroom. That kid that barges his way up and starts, he gets in there and he's at the window now and he's getting his lunch, and then all of a sudden his buddies are coming up. Hey, can you get me this? Can you get me that? Everybody who was standing in that line legally is having to wait, and the federal government is catering to these illegal folks. And we they could go through the same process, but then obviously we'd find, well, I doubt that they would be vetting anybody. I mean, heck, they brought in 74,000 terrorists. Well, hang on, I didn't mean to say that. They brought in 74,000 Afghanis. Of those, who's a terrorist, who's not? You literally bring people in from a war-torn area. You don't think that whenever you try to throw them into one of our cities to assimilate, uh, something's going to trigger and they're going to go back to when they used to hack people up with machetes? I mean, come on, man. These are the kind of things that the federal government's supposed to protect, not just our state, but other states, other citizens all around the United States of America. And are they doing it? Not in your life. Not in your life.
Yeah, I mean it's there's they're talking. I mean you heard Nancy Pelosi on the TV talking about we need these gardeners. Like it's like I mean we need how many gardeners do you need? I mean it's the question is how many slots are there for gardeners? I mean it's the question
Well,
is
and
be filled by those illegal people when these people that came here legally that they spent the money, they did the time, did the effort to get approved to come here on a work visa and so forth. They're not going to have positions, they're not going to have play, and especially if they're coming over here with no, if they're unskilled. That's the big question. What are they going to be doing? I mean, we have what, I mean, we're going to have
what will
20.
they provide?
Huh?
Yeah. What will they provide? What can they provide?
Yeah, I mean
Exactly right. And when
that's
you hit
what's
the
the
nail on
value.
the head when she said about the gardener.
Their value to the country is to be a parasite on the system and the
Hmm.
taxpayer money. That's what's going to end up happening. I mean, they can't. There's only so many jobs out there. There's only so many positions out there. When those are filled, and we have 10 more million coming that are going to be scattered out everywhere, and there's nothing for them to do, and they're not skilled enough to go do anything. What's next? What is up? They end up living in a parasitical state on our country. That's not value. That's not what the leftists and Democrats are talking about, how that creates value and diversity to our country. It creates a siphon, and it's draining the tank. We got enough of that. We got money going out everywhere to places that we don't even know. Ukraine's one of them. I mean, you look at that. I mean, we're basically being robbed, and these people are
Well,
allowing us to rob. That's what they want.
right. And in the Ukraine, I mean, look at now we're having to put soldiers over in Europe. Our back, I mean, we've got bases over there, obviously, but now they're building up a force over there, and it's in all of the NATO countries. And again, Ukraine is not a NATO country. It's like, well, we don't want the aggression of Russia. Well, you know, figure out what's actually happened between those two people and stick to the story. Because now you have congressional members that are, "Oh, well, we don't want to send our money over there," especially while our economy is in such dire straits that I mean, I loved Mike Pence whenever he was getting nailed and railed by Tucker Carlson and by the news media when he was answering that stuff. I mean, you know, you couldn't get it any better. No, no, we have to. Americans need to sacrifice so we can have more war over there. That right there tells you just how entrenched he is into the military industrial complex. The only people making money is the Fed and all the interest rates that are coming from all the loans and everything that they're pushing and boosting the military economy. And it's completely, they're doing it on the backs of the lives of what's happening. Vietnam never should have been what it was had they just gone in there and done the right thing. And then we get wrapped up in Afghanistan. You saw how that ended. And today, I mean, we did awesome stuff for Afghanistan. It's great that people can sit there in a line after after giving their kidney away so that he get their groceries. I mean, they're literally trading body parts for groceries over there. That's how bad it is, and that was brought to you by the Biden, the American Biden economy.
Hey, that's not my concern.
Yep.
Famous words from what I gathered from that conversation with Tucker. It's not my concern. I mean, that's really these politicians are all about. It's not their concern. They don't care. They don't care what's going on. It doesn't have to be just Democrat. We're talking about Republicans.
Yeah.
I don't know what Pence is. Whatever Pence is, he's a traitor. But
I was going to say, take away anything he's been doing. Take away his traitorous actions of January 6th. He has got to be the worst F-rated politician running for the presidential seat right now. I mean, I literally think he's just trying to get it to where he can have a sounding stage. I watched a video during the Fourth of July parade that he was at, and it looked like a 12 or 13-year-old girl just beamed him at the back of the head with a water balloon. And I was just like, that right there is telling. That's where your respect level is. That somebody's preteen is, and I'm talking. She was about 80 feet away. I mean, she nailed it. I was like, that chick's got an arm, and that sucker just lobbed in the air and boop, popped open. He's got his little agents right next to him walking with him.
I hate to burst everybody's bubble, but that wasn't Pence. I let the dream go on for a while, but that wasn't Pence. That was a different
really?
Yeah, that was a different rhino in that video. But yeah,
Who was
still Pence. I mean, that's she did have a hell of an arm too, though. Yeah, that was a nice throw. But yeah, that's how out of touch these people are. These politicians. I mean, they're completely out of touch with reality. They're part of that club, like George Carlin, said. And everybody that's not in that club, they don't care. They don't care about them. If you're not in it, you're not in it. And it's that goes for the J6 stuff. You look at all this new evidence. You got Tarek Johnson, the MAGA hat police officer, that's coming out with all of this new information, all of these things that need to be put out there and need to be known. Like the fact that any of the police officers that wanted to speak out against J6 were immediately demoted, put on suspension, and when they came back to work, they were put on some kind of desk duty if they said anything about it, about the fact that they were understaffed intentionally by this Yolanda Pittman lady, but he's talking. I mean, literally they put them in a horrible position, and understaffed them intentionally so that day would happen. And we're ready to feed them to the wolves, for the narrative of these horrible J6 people, these Trumpers, these MAGA people, coming there and doing this horrible stuff to these police officers, because that didn't happen. Literally didn't happen, but that's still the narrative that they still ran with, even after January 6th, that a whole bunch of police officers were murdered by the Trump supporters there that day. Now we got more charges going against Trump. And let me explain why they're going after Trump right now, okay, over J6. This is why they're going after him, because he didn't support the J6ers. He didn't step up the way he needed to for the J6ers. If he would have put more effort in and had more people on the ball to try to assist these J6ers out there going through the hell that they were being put through, sitting in solitary confinement for 2 years, you've never heard him say a word about any of that stuff, and that opened up the opportunity. These people are poor. They've been stripped of all their money. They've been thrown in jails without bond. I mean, the abuses, the medical negligence is off the roof. And And you got him sitting back, and he didn't step up to the plate. Like, he did call out Ashley Babbitt, and I guess he called out at one point in time, said that Ashley Babbitt was the only person that got killed there. Well, that flipped everybody out. Like, hey, there's 3 other people that were murdered that day, man. I mean, even Trump was out of touch with the reality of J6, and he should have had people on that, and he should have had people involved in gathering information and stories and being in touch with what was really happening, what they were really doing to the American people that were there that day, standing up for him. I mean, that's, don't get me wrong. I mean, his approval rating is through the roofs now because they've gone after him the way they did. I mean, the people in the middle see what's going on. They're trying to eliminate, the best opponent that, that they have, which is Trump going into to 2024. But, if he would have stepped up to the plate and empowered the people to step up against the narrative and the propaganda that they were spitting, for over 2.5 years, this would have been a different situation. They wouldn't have been able to go after him. They wouldn't have been able to indict him, And I mean, it's a matter of, when you don't stand up for what's right, eventually it will come knocking on your door. And that's what's happened with this situation with Trump and his indictments and stuff like that. So, it's everybody's, job to step up for what's right and listen to the story, pay attention to what's really going on, out here, because, I mean, what we got is a political hostage situation, and that's what they're doing. They're trying to turn Trump into a political hostage. I mean, but they've been doing it for 2.5 years to over 1,000 people, and now it's a big story because it's Trump,
Right. Those are the real political hostages right there. Well, I'll tell you what. We are at the 55. They just sent me my little bit here, so I'm going to throw the video going out. General, it was always real, and it was always grand, great, and enlightening. Um, so we will toss it back to. I think I want to do a fun video. You know what I haven't seen? Can't believe she hadn't put this one on.
I'll get that, Louis.
Saucy.
The Santos. We're not seeing anything about George Santos here lately. Although his office staffers are coming to work to Texas. So anyway, so folks, love you guys. We will be back. Sandra will be back on Monday. Monday. Texas fully loaded. So